Welcome to the Roasted Snow Horror Show,
where fear and dread go head to head.
Welcome to the show, where the screams collide, where blood runs cold, and the shadows hide. Each week a fight, two films will clash. Last week's champ, will it burn to ash? The Roasted Snow Horror Show, where fear and gore will always flow. One film wins, one must go. The Roasted Snow Horror Show. Lights go down, the fight begins. Which nightmare takes the final win? You pick your side, we'll break it down. The Roasted Snow, the goriest showdown.
and here are your hosts.
Chris and Ryan!
Welcome, everyone, to the Roasted Snow Horror Show, and holy fuck, I apologize in advance for how this is going to go, but welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Ryan Roasted. Everybody thinks my last name is Roasted. With me is my new enemy in this world, Chris Snow, the Snowman, sexual Tyrannosaurus, Viagra pill with a face. I want to fucking kill him right now.
How you doing, man?
I've taken a lot of showers this week. I'm up to about 4 a day. Since for those of you that don't know, this is our part 2 of the most extreme horror movies, and for this one,
You
Chris,
thought the first was rough,
dude. I was going back because the first one we talked about, like Cannibal Holocaust. We talked about Megan is Missing. Green Inferno was in there. Really disturbing movies, at least so I thought. Before. So Chris sends me this list, and I'm like, I had to have seen some of these. And actually, I had seen a couple of them, but sent me 5 movies, technically 6, but one of them we kicked off the list. And I have a lot of thoughts. So I'm going to go through these from the least disturbing, which is fucked up to say because they're all fucked up, all the way to what will end up being the most disturbing film I've ever seen, and it is going to dethrone Cannibal Holocaust. I'm just saying that right now. Yeah, man, other than that, how you doing?
I'm really good, and I have been looking forward to tonight for a long time. I think we discussed the progenitor of this episode. I mean, obviously back when we did part 1, knowing there was going to be a part 2, but I mean, you and I were kicking ideas about this podcast, like late last summer into fall as we were kind of getting things going. And from then we knew we're going to be like, all right, we got to do an episode where we talk about the things that actually disturbed us the most. And like I said, we've done episode 1. We've talked about those films that were just like, yeah, these rank near the top. I knew when we were gearing up for part 2, and I knew when I sent you that list of films that these are movies that are going to change you if you choose to watch them. I'm going to take a second right now, guys, and we'll talk about this a little bit more before we talk about the films themselves. Neither Ryan and I are recommending that you go watch any of these films. We cannot.
Please don't.
We cannot, in good conscience, recommend them. These aren't even films that we necessarily, or I should say I, because I kind of recommended you watch it for this episode, that we sought out. Like, oh yeah, this definitely is something that I'm anxious to see. Like, Ryan and I, we've stumbled kind of across these movies in our past, 20 years of life, trying to figure out why we like horror and coming across these things. That's sort of how we stumbled into this. Again, neither of us recommend that you go watch these films because they are every trigger warning that we can give you guys. Every single one is represented somewhere in here.
We like to have a lot of fun on the show and crack a lot of jokes, and I'm sure we'll try and slip some in here, but we are not in any way making light of any of the subject matter that we will be touching on. Unfortunately, we got to go through the plot on these and say what makes them the most disturbing thing. We get no pleasure in talking about this. Basically, this episode is good for if you don't ever want to see these movies, but you want to know why they're messed up without actually getting that visual. Perfect episode for you. If at any point you get triggered, if the first movie's fine, the second movie's fine, then we get to the third one and you were just like, this is, turn it off. I'm not even gonna look at the downloads on this baby because this is
almost feels like this almost feels like, you remember in The Other Guys when Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock are like, all the things y'all don't want to do, all the sex we don't want to have that we have anyway, we do it for you. This is kind of what that episode feels like. The movies that you don't want to watch but you need to know are out there, we're the ones that are going to take the bullet and watch them for you.
And what makes them so fucked up, because curiosity does get the better of you. It's what brought me into Cannibal Holocaust. I'm like, okay, people have said this is the most disturbing movie ever made. Is it that bad? And I mean, we talked about it in that episode. If you feel brave enough, go back and find it. Click that QR code. It'll take you to all of our previous episodes. It is a good one. But unfortunately, unlike that one, we're recording this on a Tuesday night. Normally we record on Sunday nights. So I have plenty of time to edit for a Wednesday release. I'm not gonna be able to edit and put funny shit into this one. So unfortunately, because I really wish I could. Because
believe us, there are no clips from these films that are really,
nope,
we want to pull out and put them in because they're that bad.
Yeah. So again, if you guys, we don't want to bring up any trauma that you may have had in your past, or anything that makes you feel uncomfortable. If we say something that you don't like, or that you don't like the way it's going, boom, turn us off. Come back on Friday for Ready or Not, Here I Come, because that one's gonna actually be fucking fun. This one, oh Christ, if you don't have anything, I just want to talk about it so we can get done with this.
To give you guys some context, as soon as Ryan and I jumped into the studio tonight, I could just see in his face like he's a changed man.
I am, and I will go into what changed it, because 2 of these films I had seen, 3 I had not. So I, unfortunately, in the last 7 to 9 days, have gone and watched these other 3. One we were going to put on here was Hostel Part 2, mainly because there's a castration scene in there that's pretty gnarly.
I forgot to tell you, I was actually rewatching the Hostel films because I ordered that 3 movie set on Amazon, like all 3 of them. So I've been like getting my steps in and rewatching those. Yeah, and child's play compared to this. This episode and the movies that we're going to be covering is going to make part 1 of this series look like a Blue's Clues episode. It's like, one of these movies in particular, I said, well, how bad can it be? And then I kept saying, well, it can't get much worse. And then it kept getting worse. So anyway, now we'll get into it. I'm just curious, what do you think my number 5 is on the list? And I'm not telling you guys any of these films beforehand. So maybe I'll just say, and then you tell me your top 5. Sorry. I'm going to guess, because I know how obviously brutal you are. I'm going to say your number 5 at the meaning ranking from lightest to heaviest. Your number 5 is going to be Suspiria.
It is indeed Suspiria, and this is one that I had seen prior. This is the most modern. I believe it was 2018. I assume when you sent me the list, you were talking about the newest one.
I feel like an ass. I should have said the older one, but they're both disturbing.
Yes. So I have never actually seen the original, and now I'm even more scared. But basically, this one it revolves around a ballet troupe that's run by a coven of witches. And if you guys have watched any lists of like most disturbing death scenes in a movie, one from this movie usually ends up on it. Basically, in the scene, chick is upstairs dancing. It's a ballet studio. There's another one that's dancing and doing all these moves and is totally being able to manipulate the body of the other girl, and her bones are breaking. It's absolutely disgusting. But that's one of the lighter ones here. This one, obviously, we're talking about the newer one. Now, I guess
I believe they forgot that Dakota Johnson was in it.
Yeah, I know.
Completely forgot.
Yeah, so some mainstreamers are in this one. Really cool visual effects here, but yeah, it is takes place during the Cold War, I believe. It's if I was going to recommend any on this list, this would probably be the only one. Maybe. Again, maybe you can go into what sets this one apart from the 1970s version.
Yeah, so I mean, both are pretty brutal, and I would say that the 1970s version, it's a Dario Argento film. If you guys are familiar with Dario Argento, he was an Italian filmmaker that did a ton of deep horror. I think we talked about one of his films in the last horror episode, but Dario Argento did the original. The plot is extremely similar. Some of the things that don't necessarily, don't necessarily age that well, i.e. like what's the word I'm looking for? Like xenophobic people and things like that. But the main plot points, the main beats, the same. You have our heroine, Suzanne, she's a young American ballet student. She gets sent to Germany to study at an academy. That's all the same. A lot of the things that have happened and kind of take place and the deaths that you see, a lot of them are pretty similar. And the kind of things that are happening at the academy throughout that lead us to the climax are all extremely similar. So all those are good. They kind of modernized it, for modern audience. Of course, the 2018 film still takes place in 1977, similar to the original. But I mean, that's really where the differences kind of change. It's kind of really a faithful remake.
Well, that's good. At least I kind of know what I'd be expecting. But yeah, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm powering through a couple of these just because I know a couple of these movies are going to take some time to digest and talk about. And
I think he's still digesting them.
I am. I think I'm going to be digesting them until the day I die, and then maybe some. But so Suspiria is my number 5 on this list. Now we start getting into again, trigger warning on this. Movies that we will be discussing going forward deal with there's incest, there's essaying, a lot of it. There is
uncomfortable already because I'll have you guys know I did not rewatch these films going into this because these are not films that you rewatch.
No,
I don't want to rewatch them.
No, and a couple of these I tried to just put in the back of my mind, but number 4 is one that I had actually seen a long time ago. So I still had to, I kind of had to relook at it. I didn't rewatch the whole thing, but it's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, which, if I'm not mistaken, this movie kind of streamline the NC-17 rating.
It really did. I think this one was one of the original. I mean, you had the adult pornographic films kind of came out during the 70s, which carried like the XXX ratings because of what they were. This, you're right. This was one of the first mainstream films that was not a pornographic film that was actually rated X, and they had to go back and take stuff out of it, for it to, or NC-17, right? X, and they had to go back and take stuff out of it and make it, I don't want to say appropriate, but make it more maybe serviceable to the public. And yeah, it came back with that NC-17 rating. 1985, I believe, was the year this one came out.
Mm-hmm. And we got our guy from Guardians of the Galaxy, Mary Poppins, y'all, who plays Henry. And this one is interesting because it probably takes the most traditional approach to a horror movie. It's literally a guy that I believe is he a cab driver? He's
everyman. And we should say based on a true story.
Yeah. Loosely.
Yes. Loosely. Because if you guys have ever watched The Confession Killer on Netflix, Henry Lee Lucas and Ottis Toole, that's who this film is about. Henry is Henry Lee Lucas. Ottis Toole was his partner.
Mm-hmm. And what makes this movie really fucked up? Obviously, the kills are pretty gnarly. The blood is pretty good, but there's a heavy overtone of incest in this movie. Otis and his sister, he likes to rhymes with grape, his sister, and they film their murders. It's very snuffy kind of, and obviously it's that grungy like 80s style. Like it just makes you feel uncomfortable. The soundtrack is really uncomfortable.
It looks very hot and stuffy and uncomfortable.
Right. And
I will say I laughed so hard when this is how sick I am. When him and Ottis Toole pick up the prostitutes and the camera's panning across the car, and he just reaches over and snaps her neck, and Ottis Toole looks over and he's like, ugh.
Like, yeah, there's a lot of just cringe-worthy stuff in this movie. but again, it is as far as this list goes, it is
one of the more tame.
Much more, and especially if you've done a lot of horror movies. I mean, you're probably not, I mean, you should be disgusted by incest and all that, but yeah, it's. I'm just dreading getting further down this list, but we're getting there.
And we should say that, I mean, the whole kind of the premise behind this one, like you said, loosely based on a true story. The interesting, I shouldn't say interesting, the fascinating thing about Henry Lee Lucas is Henry Lee Lucas confessed to something like 300 murders. Well,
they said he would never not confess to a murder, whether he did it or not.
Whether he did it or not. To it. Because the police, what they were doing, and what you find out if you guys watch the documentary on Netflix, is the police department was quasi using him, knowing that he's just going to confess all these things, to close cold cases. Like, hey, we've got a murder out here in, North Texas. Like, we don't know. And they would tell Henry Lee Lucas, and he'd be like, oh yeah, I did X, Y, and Z. This film doesn't have to do with his capture and his interview. It has to do with the actual crime spree that he did do. Now, Henry Lee Lucas he is a serial killer. They have confirmed that he has, a set amount of murders attributed to him, but nowhere near the amount that he confessed to. And again, this film takes a lot of liberties with the truth, i.e. in the film, Henry kills Ottis Toole in the end. That didn't happen. Ottis Toole died in a Florida prison. But yeah, I mean, I think it feels like this was one of those movies, we're coming out of the 70s where things were really hot and uncomfortable and grimy, coming into the 80s where filmmaking was taking kind of a turn. But they're almost, I don't want to say throwing back, but it's almost like the filmmaker at this point is like, hey, I'm not afraid to challenge. Because, you have the satanic panic in the 80s. You have the parents and even Congress, Tipper Gore, being like, you can't have this kind of music and and it's ruining our kids and all these things. And I view these sorts of films, and particularly in the 80s, as almost like a pushback, against all that, because the 80s were the time of, Arnold and Sylvester and the big macho guys that rated R films. And this was kind of in that vein. So,
and Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all.
Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah, I love him. He was also in Walking Dead, and he's just, Merle. Yep. Merle.
Michael Rooker.
Didn't he get his hand chopped off in that? And that was
he did. Deal. He actually chopped his own hand off to escape the handcuffs.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he had the weird look for a hand. Yeah. And then in Guardians of the Galaxy, he's Mr. Whistler. He probably would have survived that movie Whistle. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. He would have survived that one. Okay.
You're ready to get crazy here, aren't you?
Yeah. The top two there's going to be some time spent on it.
I know they're not easy to watch. You look away. You can't digest the things that are happening.
And when I was going through how I wanted to rank this, I was like, going through the plots and actually what happens. I'm like, how is this next one number 3? But it is Dumplings, which you told me that, and this is probably one of the most readily available that you can watch. It's on Tubi, unfortunately. And I should say, the next 3 films are, if you want to, I got a lot of reading in this week because it was, they're all subtitles. So this one, and for you guys, you probably don't know this, but I am a very picky eater. I get plain hamburgers. I get cheese, pepperoni pizza. A lot of food just icks me out. And that was part of what disturbed me in this movie, is not just the fact that it's called Dumplings and that it's about dumplings. We'll get into what's in them.
I'm just thinking about it. I'm sick.
We'll get into what's in them, but just as the dumplings themselves, they are disgusting looking. They are slimy, and the basic crux of this premise is this lady, she makes these dumplings with the promise that if you eat the dumplings, you become younger. And it's like, okay. And even, I think the first chick, she bites into it and it's just like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, it's just so disgusting. I had to look away a couple times, and this is just them eating it. And at this point, I don't know what's in them. I don't know what makes them special.
They make a big show of the people actually eating the dumplings. Mm-hmm. It almost reminds me of Dennis Quaid in
right. And
like
that
want you to see.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like when someone else is throwing up around you and then you get queasy and you feel like you might have to. That's how I felt with a lot of portions of this. But basically this lady, she makes dumplings, says that they make you younger. then our main character, I believe she was a former actress, or she's a struggling actress or whatever.
It's very substance-like. Former actress.
Very,
she's
yeah.
losing her good looks. She longs her passion with her husband. She
Her
longs
husband
to the
is-
days of old.
Her husband has wandering eyes elsewhere to younger women, and so she gives the dumplings a try, and sure enough, starts looking hotter. Long story short here.
Tell me what they make out of the dumplings out of, Ryan.
Well, if my memory serves correctly, what she tells them what is in the dumplings prior, doesn't she say that it is parts of animals or something? Like she, not quite. And this is why I found it weird that this was my number 3, and there's still 2 movies to go.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I'm really sorry I have to talk about this, but
Trigger warning.
yes, trigger
For
warning.
anyone with a soul. For anyone with a soul.
Yep. What is in these dumplings are aborted fetuses. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. And what's even more fucked up about that is when our main character finds out about that, she is so addicted to this that she needs to have them. She does not care what is in them. She is so blind with wanting to be youthful. And there's a scene in here where I'm not going to go into too many details, but let's just say there's an extraction of some sort. And again, you cup that with people are actually ingesting these, and it's...
Yeah, this is one of the more, to your point, the fact that there are 2 movies that are going to supersede this in terms of where they rank for us. This was one of those that I remember stumbling across it, because again, it's on Tubi, it's free. You just get the Tubi app, you can watch it. I stumbled across this one, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be one of those, because you guys know how much we love like South Korean horror films. They do such a good job.
Fantastic.
This one's Hong Kong. I'm like, I'd like to see what does China? How does China do these horror films? And this was one of those that I'd already invested 30 minutes into it, and I was like, well, I've already invested 30 minutes, I might as well just finish it. But when you want to talk about just discomfort and something that feels like it's attacking your soul as a person, and again, while I'll never watch it again, this is one of those films.
Like, abortion is already a very touchy topic anywhere, especially here in America. Obviously, we're not getting into politics and all that, but the fact that they go one step further on this, it's not just aborting; it's actually ingesting that. It's just, and obviously, then you look back, you go, "Oh, well, there's a reason why I was already disgusted before I even knew about these things." And it's just. Oh boy, yeah, it was that one probably made me want to puke the most. Like, like you read stories about people like going to see Terrifier and puking in the theater. It's like, if I saw this in the theater, I might have been one of those guys. If it ever made a theatrical release, no idea. But
yeah, and I think there's this feeling too, like you get the impression, because this movie was, I looked it up. I think it's 2005 when it
looks older than what it is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think my understanding is there is this idea, right, about what the substance talks about it too, what you will do for beauty, right? How far will you go? And to your point, like abortion's been a hot topic in America since Roe v. Wade back in the 70s. I think there's a lot to be said about, this movie kind of puts it in perspective, like, hey, these dumplings are made out of these aborted fetuses and they make you better. I know there's a lot to say about, hey, aborted fetus cells can be used as research to rejuvenate. I don't know all of that. I'm not going to get into it, but I think this is one of those films that kind of puts a spotlight on like the morality behind all of these things and makes you question, like, if it's okay here, why is it not okay here? You know what I mean? And again, I'm not offering an opinion. I absolutely have my opinions, as I know you do, and as do the listeners. But yeah, I felt like this was one of those films that just puts it in front of you and makes you question, like, if it's okay here, why is it not okay here? You know what I mean? In a very extreme way.
In a very extreme way, and that's what a lot of these movies do, is they try to say something in a very, 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 very extreme way. which we're going to get to right now.
Well, and we should say the movie does resolve in that our protagonist, who keeps eating these dumplings and needs to have them, finds out like more and more stuff just kind of starts going wrong with her, I guess you should say, as far as how she smells, how she's looking, all of those things,
and
what it's doing
was
between her and her husband.
Well, and it was, I forget the reasoning. Sorry, I tried to put some of these out of my mind, but
Understandable.
Wasn't it because there was something with the fetus that was wrong, that or she rushed or something?
I hate saying this. They say that the fetuses that are, I don't even want to say it. The fetuses that are created through incest are more potent than the other fetuses. Mm-hmm. God, I feel sick. I feel so dirty just saying that, dude.
Yeah,
I don't feel good at all. We have 2 left, and I don't even feel good.
And these are going to be doozies. The super doozies. And these last 2, and
I was going to say the movie resolves because the cook, Aunt May, our protagonists, Mr. and Mrs. Lee are their names. They meet with the masseuse that he was having an affair with. Mrs. Lee pays her to abort the baby, and they force the doctor to use a method where they're not going to use drugs to help her out. And the next thing you see is Aunt May, the actual chef, just carrying her stuff through the street. And then Mrs. Lee, the woman who found out about this whole process, making dumplings from this fetus. God, it's sick.
It's so sick. It's
dude, this is like sucking my soul.
Yeah,
it should. These should. If you guys get to a point where you can watch something like this and you're unaffected, God have mercy.
Call someone. Yeah,
call someone. Talk to somebody, please.
Yeah, because these next 2, one in particular, I stared at the ceiling for probably half an hour after the movie, just contemplating why we're even doing this fucking podcast. But anyway, okay, so now we're on to the top 2. Which I know we've powered through these first 3, but now we're going to slow it down a little bit. So if you don't want to watch these movies and you want to know what happens in them and what makes them disturbing, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail here because we do have to fill an episode. But my number 2, I don't want to make you guess because then it'll give away number 1 if you're wrong. But
let me say this.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these films, both of them, are disturbing on a level that I could talk about I could spend this podcast talking just about the disturbing, just, not even talk about the movies themselves, being like, here's why it's disturbing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But both of these films are disturbing on a level of like, okay, let me say this first. Both of these films are foreign. Like we don't do this stuff in America.
No, we don't. Well, I'm sure there are some movies out there. We just haven't
found them.
We've been lucky enough not to know about them.
Yeah, and that's talking about like, that's including the body horror films we've discussed, all that stuff. So both of these films are foreign. We have an Italian one and a something one, which it's literally the name of the film. You guys may have already guessed it. But both of these are so bad, I would not be surprised which one you choose.
Well, yeah, and how do I put it? Anyway, I'm just going to get going because, or else I'm going to talk myself out of this. But number 2, first of all, I'd seen both of these titles on multiple lists about most disturbing, and they would be in the nature of Cannibal Holocaust, which we've talked about before. That one is disturbing. Yep, it is disturbing in its own right, and I thought there was nothing that was going to make me feel the way I did watching that the first time. I was proven wrong twice, multiple times. Number 2, we're going to Italy for Salo, 120 Days of Sodom, which already, by the title, ain't great, Bob. Yeah. What's interesting about this one, just a little bit of a backstory. The director apparently was murdered 3 weeks prior to the release. I believe it was a homicide with a car, vehicular homicide, but it was like intentional. I don't know if that was because of this movie or what, but basically the non-disgusting premise of this is World War II is nearing its end. They know the Allies are coming. It's in fascist Italy. and basically the elites, they know that something's coming, so they basically want to spend their remaining days rounding up some kids, 9 boys and 9 girls, and
Teenagers.
yes, teenagers. I'm not going to give anything away for later, but yes, teenagers. And once we get to our number 1, you're going to know why this movie's number 2. And basically they just want to do whatever they want with them. That is as loose as I can put it. This movie, in a narrative sense, is different in the sense of like there are, I believe, 4 different narrators.
Yeah, it's almost akin to Dante's Divine Comedy.
Exactly.
The way that it's getting worse and worse as you get deeper. Each
level gets worse, and instead of one person going through the layers of hell, it's these kids. It's these teenagers that are rounded up. They're rounded up by the elitists. I believe there are 4 of them that are.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's how it's broken up. It's broken up into chapters. And the narrators, storytellers end up being prostitutes, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Here we go. They round up these kids and they basically tell them the rules. They have to do what they're told. If they say anything that is religious, if they pray to any god, anything like that, they're going to be killed right off the bat. And I will apologize, Chris, because you might have to jump in on this because there were so many details in this movie, and my number 1 overtook it because of just the details that I forgot. There's so much going on in this movie. Basically, they go in and they talk about, they tell this story, the prostitutes do. And the first one's tame-ish, I guess.
I would say it's tame compared to the ones that are going to come.
At the end of the day, these are kids that are being held against their will here, to the subject of these elitists. And again, the details are going to be hazy because this was the first one that I watched out of the 3. So forgive me if I'm getting this wrong. First, obviously the most disturbing stuff. I remember more. I believe in this first one, like a girl, she has to recite something or something, and then she gets her throat slit, and
because essentially the first section is it's our 4. I don't want to call them protagonists because they're horrible. It's the Duke, the Bishop, the Magistrate, the President. Mm-hmm. Basically what they're called. They have the 4 teenage boys that they recruit as quasi, I guess you could call them, you could kind of call them like black shirt soldiers from the era. And they're chosen because of their good looks and their BDE, just like our guy Alpha from the Bone Temple.
Yeah, BDA, man, Samson. And I really wish I could put a clip here of Samson, but
And there's the first section deals with them being number 1 selected, and then these people being sent out to capture victims. 9 teenage boys, 9 teenage girls, and they're brought to a villa somewhere, and I can't pronounce any of these places because they're all Italian.
They're all rounded up outside. It's very it's disturbing in the sense that some fucked up shit's gonna happen, but hey, it's this pretty nice looking place, but they're all rounded up outside.
It's the Italian countryside.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So this is no way an attack on the Italian people. We love you, Italy. I love your food. Glad you don't make dumplings. So they capture these kids, and it's heartbreaking because some of them have emotion, and some of them by the end of this, they're just taking it. They're just
it's one of those things like humans, I would relate it to the Holocaust, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a little mini Holocaust in itself, but when there's nothing you can do, and there's nothing you can do to fight against what's happening to you, it's just your mind just disconnects, because that's the only way you could actually survive it.
Yep. And I forget what else happens. I'm really sorry, guys. This one was a mind fuck. and I tried to get some of it out of my memory.
Well, so the second part, I guess you could say the second section, the first circle of hell, right? It kind of shows you that these four antagonists are subjecting these poor victims to the worst things you guys can imagine. I mean, just increasingly important things, different tortures. They make the girls enter the dining hall nude to serve food.
And SA in this movie is just like a white noise. That's how much it happens.
It's just like, that's happening
over there. That's happening over there. Oh, hey, that girl's over there. They're just going to tackle her and do whatever. To boys, girls, whatever. And yeah, like they serve them in their dining room. You know, they're the elitists, and it's like it is scary because there was the conspiracy theory that came out about the Epstein files, about how, they're putting kids' meat into McDonald's burgers. And it's like, why the fuck would they do that? Or they're drinking children's blood. And it's like, hey, the rich will do whatever the fuck they want.
You say it's one of those things like you think to yourself, like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That would never happen. But then you see these things in these films that people create in their minds. And I should say this film is actually based off of a book
I was going to say it
by the Marquis de Sade in the 1700s. Again, just thinking up how horrible and how terrible, as a man of faith, how terrible human nature in and of itself is without some redeeming quality. I mean, it's the worst thing. It's the worst things you could think of. And give people like that power, they'll do anything. And that's what this movie is showing.
Yeah, and I believe the original story was written on just one big ass sheet of paper. Like it.
Yeah, the Marquis died before he could finish it, so it's actually unfinished.
Yeah, he killed himself while reading it, I think, because that's what I wanted to do while watching this.
His mind had to just be deteriorated.
Oh yeah, it's just I don't even know where to start on this because. First of all,
how do you talk about a film like this?
Yeah, like some of the kids that they do something bad or they do their name is written in this black book, and you're like, oh, hopefully that doesn't come back to haunt them. It fucking does. And you got to think this guy writing this book, it's like, was this just all in his mind, or did he actually do any of this, or did he see any of this? And I don't know which is worse, if you've actually done it or if you just think about it, because my mind and most everybody's mind doesn't go to places like this.
No.
Yeah, no. And I might be jumping around here, but one of the circles they do is the circle of shit. And thought dumplings was going to make you puke. This one,
watch dumplings and then watch this in quick succession.
Yep. You'll lose about 40 pounds.
You'll lose a part of your soul.
Yeah. Yes, you will. And this was where I was like, how can these movies get worse? Because in this one, anything you can think of that has to do with the rear end bowel movements to the point where they even want them to withhold their bowel movements. So that I forget their reasoning on it.
Because they want to use them later.
They just want to use it. Yeah. And they, and I really wanted to put in the clip of Chris Evans in Knives Out, where he's like, eat shit, definitely eat shit. Because that happens. It is.
They have this mock wedding reception because they forced the magistrate and one of the guards, Sergio, to get married. And they have a mock wedding reception, and the meal they serve is literally a plate of that.
It's plated shit. It is.
Dig right in.
Mm-hmm.
God, dude, look at me. I have 1,000-yard stare because I'm just thinking back on it.
Yeah, I know. It's just that's what happens to you when you do this, when you watch this stuff. That is, I think that's one that stands out the most in this movie, is because
God, I don't feel good right now.
Like, dude, even in Caddyshack, when he goes down to the pool to get the candy bar, and they think it's a piece of shit, and he eats it like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's part of the disturbing nature of this movie.
I mean, I'm thinking when it's like a gag, right? You remember Austin Powers in The Spy Who Shagged Me when he drinks the.
I almost puked during that.
It is like, oh, good that it's not just me.
Yeah,
and he drinks it. You're just like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. Like, how could they do this? And then you realize, 25 years earlier they were making films like this.
yeah, obviously there's a lot of torture in here. There's a lot of rhymes with grape. There's SA. There's eating fucking shit. And then they get to the point where I'm just going to jump to the climax here.
The circle of blood.
The circle of blood. Yep. Basically, the people that were written down in the Black Book, anything and everything happens to these people. There's a girl that is scalped, which that's one of the horror movie things that I just like, I cringe at when someone gets scalped. Even in
Saw, when the girl's hair is stuck between the things and it like pulls her scalp off.
Well, I'm thinking Inglorious Bastards, because like they do the cut.
I want my scalp.
Yeah,
Aldo Rain.
Yeah,
you take on a debit.
A debit. Hey, this is a Italian movie, like Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Yeah. Margheriti. Anthony DeCoco. Anthony, I'm just stalling right now, guys.
Yeah. He doesn't want to talk about the climax of this film.
No, which I already did. I mean, there's scalping, there's
branding.
Yeah, branding, tongues getting ripped out or bit out, or it's
eyes getting gouged.
It's like the worst shit imaginable that you can think of to these people, these kids. It's horrible. And during this whole thing, there's I think maybe there's one guard that has somewhat of a moral compass. There's some other lady that she ends up jumping to her death because she sees what's happening outside.
Just like, I can't.
But the end of this movie stuck with me. And actually the last two movies that we're talking about, the last scene really sticks with you. And it's ironic because it's not really disgusting or anything in a visual sense, but it's just it's these two guards talking like it's a normal Thursday, and they're just like, "Oh, hey, you got a girl back home? Oh yeah, you're doing all this fucked up shit, and you're just talking about this like it's a normal day."
And again, I think this is it's almost like similar to dumplings, right? It's like what's the word I'm looking for? It's an examination of how people can do this, and like just like it's another Tuesday afternoon. The Nazi guards, the SS guards, are just like, yeah, it's just another Thursday. What we're doing. If you guys dare look at Unit 731, I don't know if you're familiar with that, Ryan.
I am not. Unit
731 was a Japanese, I don't know how to say it, a Japanese science unit. You guys can Wikipedia it. I don't want to get too deep into it, but that operated during World War II. And then when the Americans would interview the guards and the scientists that worked in this unit, they would talk about what they did. It was Thursday afternoon. This is what we did. We did this. We did X, Y, and Z. Just nothing. There's nothing there. You know what I mean? Nothing behind their eyes. Mm-hmm. It's just another Tuesday. And I think movies like this, again, force you to be like, yeah, this is humanity at its darkest.
Well, and I mean, you go real life with any war. I mean, there's atrocities doled out on every side. Americans did it, Japanese did it, Vietnamese did it. It's just the nature of war, I guess. You hear about some
humanity
of the stuff
at its worst, I guess you could say. War is humanity at its worst.
Whether it's mowing down civilians or doing fucked up experiments on POWs, and that shit's terrifying, like in a real sense. Like, obviously this, I don't know if it ever got to this extreme, but the fact that this was floating around in someone's mind.
Well, and that's the question, is like, was the Marquis de Sade writing this story based on something that he did with others, or is it was just in his mind,
And that has it has the historical aspect of it. That was one where I was just like, I get it. It's the 70s. It's obviously stuff was easier to get made. That was more snuff-like. This isn't a snuff film. As far as I know, nothing really happened to anyone in this movie. Whereas like Cannibal Holocaust, like they had real animal cruelty and all that. There was a lot of controversy with that director. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that, but imagine being an actor on the set. It's like, oh, hey, it's flip to page 37. Oh yeah, I got to eat shit today.
Yeah. And that goes back to, you mentioned it before, like the murder of the director. The idea is that he was killed in like a mafia-esque killing. I mean, his genitals were smashed with a bar. He was run over with a car multiple times.
Went forward, backed up, went forward, backed up.
Yeah. And the idea was that some of the reels of this film had been stolen. They were like trying to hold them ransom for him, from him, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of controversy around this thing, as there should be. I mean, it is far too much.
And we have said it multiple times this episode. I cannot stress this enough. Do not watch it. And actually,
Don't
before
watch
watching
these
this,
guys.
I looked up on YouTube to see if there were any clips of it. And there's only one clip of it, and it's not that graphic. But don't eat after or before watching it. So yeah, that one is very hard to find, which is very good because
As it should be.
this next one, I'm just gonna riff here for a bit on this one. The number one. First of all, when Chris and I were initially discussing this list and this movie came up, and I had heard of this movie for a long time, and I had intentionally stayed away from it. He had mentioned that he was going to send me a link on where to find it, and I went and did some research on my own, and unfortunately, it was very easy to find. I'm not going to tell you where to find it, but
It won't be hard if you really want to look.
it is on a free service. At least the service isn't free, but you can watch it for free. It's weird. Like, I didn't sign up for anything to watch it, but you can.
I think they feel guilty charging you money to watch this. So,
Dude, but I thought about it. I'm like, a kid could stumble across this movie because I didn't have any parental controls on it. I'm like, hey, what? Why would I need it? This one, I am going to get the most deep into the plot because I feel like narratively it was the easiest to follow. Unfortunately, we're talking a Serbian film.
Nikola Jokic, we love you.
Yep, and it is ironic because this movie, reading up, I think it was loosely made to combat Serbia's censorship and wanted to get around that. And what's ironic about this movie is, unlike Salo, where I was disgusted pretty much from the jump, and it was an endurance test. The first half of this movie, while it was disturbing and not fun to watch, I was like, really? This is what everybody is freaking out about. And obviously it's number one on my list.
Second half comes.
They fit a fucking lot in. So premise of this one is we have a quasi-retired porn star in Serbia, and he has a family. He's got a beautiful wife, a kid, but they're really struggling financially. So he takes
Because he's trying to move on from his past.
He is but he finds this lucrative offer he can't turn down, except for he doesn't see a script, he doesn't see anything. He just has to go along with it because that's the authenticity. Now, obviously, some fucked up shit's gonna happen. So again, trigger warning, because this one triggered me probably the most, especially if you're a parent. So this movie starts off, literally the first scene is it's one of his pornos that he did back in the day. Presumably he basically just starts fucking this chick against this wall, and then the camera zooms out and it's his son that's watching this movie, and his son is probably 5, 6, maybe, or maybe 10. Yeah, between 5 and 10. He's a young, impressionable kid, and a pretty good kid at that, from what we can see. And obviously, no, you can't watch that, but it's Daddy's movie, and they stumble
into him seeing it. They're like, no, you got to turn that off.
Mm-hmm. And they
As
have
kids do,
and they have a fun conversation about it where they're just like, like, he's got to learn sometime. Ha ha ha. It's a lot of this tongue in cheek type thing. But yeah, he is trying to move on. And I'm just like, at this point, I don't know if his wife was like one of his old co-stars, or is she like cool with all the stuff that he used to do? They don't really get into that. But he ends up taking this lunch meeting with one of his former co-stars. And she basically says like, hey, there's this guy. He pays a shit ton of money, and he would want you, like, because the thing about our main character here is that he is BDA. He can withstand this through anything, which is why he's great in that industry. And basically, he reluctantly accepts a meeting with this director, and the director basically tells him, like, you're not going to see the script. You're going to because I want the authenticity of it. we're gonna shoot here. I'm gonna be in your ear, this and that. And he initially turns it down, and his wife kind of questions him on it and is like, "Why'd you turn that down? Like, it's what I don't know." Reluctantly ends up accepting it. He also has a brother that is in the police force, and I'm actually going to have a couple plot questions for you. Try to get this back narratively, but and his brother is not so subtly obsessed with his wife.
Well, he's a corrupt.
He's super corrupt cop. Yep. To the point where, like, he's the typical guy in a movie where you're like, hey, can you give me this license plate? Can you tell me everything you need to know about this guy? Can you make a body go away? He's that type of guy. And he just looks like a scumbag. Like, there's no redeeming qualities about this guy. So basically our main dude here, he and everything's super secretive. He's picked up by this car with a big bodyguard that takes him from his house to the shooting location. And the first scene is done, and the shooting location is a fucking orphanage. So already, hi, I'm a red flag.
Red flag right here. Maybe I should turn it off.
And obviously he gets an earpiece in, so like, okay, go into the building.
That's how the director's like directing him. It's like, because he doesn't know a script, right? He has no script. The director's just telling him what to do.
He's like, just act natural. And he doesn't know what he's walking into here. This is day one of the shoot, which starts off relatively tame. You get the sense that this is going to be more of a hardcore porno, more than anything. But again, at this point in the movie, I'm like, okay, the kid thing was fucked up. It's a weird dynamic here. But at this point, I'm like, there's really nothing super crazy that's happened. Basically, it's this loose storyline for the porno of like this teenage girl is like being abused by what's that?
She's being scolded by her mom first.
Yeah, being scolded by her mom. And I believe the mom ends up going down on him. On
our protagonist.
Yeah, it's a weird scene, and he's even like, I kind of got the skeevies on it, but it's fine. I'll go back. While he's going back to film, this is another disturbing scene, like relatively it isn't that bad compared to the rest of the movie, but while he's out on assignment, his brother goes to hang out with his wife and his son for whatever reason, and the whole time he's having this conversation with homeboy's wife, he's so creepy. He just can't take his eyes off her, this and that. He excuses himself to the restroom, and he has an away gamer into the sink.
Like, this is your brother's wife with his son at home.
And so he so you can already tell where his morality lies, and there's more on that coming. So basically, progressively, as this guy keeps going back to shoot more of this movie, it gets more and more disturbing.
His brother Marco does tell our protagonist that the director, I can't remember his name. Like I said, I haven't watched.
I put it out of my mind. Yeah,
I don't think about it. Tells him that he investigated him, and he says, "Oh, this guy was a psychologist, and he worked in he did children's shows, and he worked for the state, stuff like that."
Hence why it was at an orphanage. It basically gets to a point where one of the scenes is there's a chick that's tied up, and he's basically told, "Yep, go ahead." And
I don't like this next scene that you're about to, that we don't need to describe too much, maybe, is the single most disturbing thing that I've ever seen on ever.
I'm not to that point yet.
Okay. I must be missing something.
Well,
like I said, I haven't watched in 10 years,
right.
So it's like,
well, so he goes, and there's this lady that is I can't remember if she's restrained at the time. At this point, you still think that she's an actress. So she's I want to say she's going down on him here, and he's instructed to hit her. So he hits her a couple times, and over, I believe on screens, there's teenage girls watching. They're like licking lollipops, and this is where
it was the little girl. It was the girl whose mother. It's her mother.
Yep. And so he basically is like, I'm not going to do this. There's kids watching. He actually kind of has a moral compass here.
He's trying to get away from all that.
Yeah,
He's like, I don't.
yeah.
This is not right.
He's like, look, you make your movie how you want to make it, but I don't want to be a part of like hitting chicks and kids involved, even if they're only watching. Like, no, that's not for me. And basically, the director is like, here, come to my office, and we are gonna, and I'll kind of show you what we're talking about. So don't leave yet, thinking that he's going to like, give him this epiphany. Himself. Yes, and is this the scene you're referring to?
This is the scene guys, okay. I've never seen something more disturbing committed to film ever. And it doesn't show you this the act. The camera is panned up, so you don't see anything. So nothing actually happened. In filming, nothing happened here. But it's
and ironically,
I'm thinking about it.
Ironically, maybe it's because they didn't show anything, and the rest of the movie they show a lot. This was the first point in the movie where I go, well, I have to finish watching it because it can't get much worse than this. And in my mind, I was proven wrong. And that's just maybe because I'm a parent. Let me just put it this way. What happened to the fetuses in Dumplings was 1,000% more humane than this. The fact that this was actually allowed to be put onto film, basically he shows our main dude one of his previous videos, and basically it's this chick giving birth. She gives birth, and he takes the baby and SAs the baby off screen, which is the only redeeming quality here. And the director is psyched about this. That's all I'm going to say about that. He is psyched about this, and he calls it. I don't even know if I want to say the word, but
you don't need to say it. We all get it.
Okay, yeah.
See, this is where I'm genuinely upset thinking about this right now, because what's worst? We're going to go to the Vine. There's only one thing worse than a rapist:
a child.
But I mean, there's nothing like that. What more can I say? What more can we say? Like that you would do anything to an innocent kid.
Yeah. And just like the normality that goes with it from like the actor in the scene. And again, I mean,
maybe it makes me more upset that this kind of stuff does happen in the world,
Mm-hmm. And it's
maybe that's why I'm so upset by it.
It's the fact that somebody thought this up, and this, I believe this movie was like 2012, so it's relatively new. Not as new as like the Suspiria in 2018, but new enough to, what you're fucking doing wrong, to the point where Serbians themselves are embarrassed, because if you search, Serbian films, just wanting to find movies, this is what comes up. Yep.
I think, and I remember too, I think I told you the story of when I did stumble across this film. I had just bought, quick aside, I had just bought my first place. I bought a townhouse in I was living in Glenwood Springs at the time, Newcastle, right outside Glenwood. And, I had taken a few days off because I was moving all my stuff over, getting set up in my house. And I moved all my stuff over, and I got everything hooked up. I got my internet installed, and I was just like, I was setting up the second bedroom downstairs where my office was going to be. And I got my computer all hooked up, and I was like, okay, it's the afternoon. Like, I still have 2 days off. Like, what do I want to do with the rest of my time? And I was just browsing something. I was looking for horror films, just like disturbing horror films. It was 2016, and this one happened to pop up. Again, free watch. It's just available for free. I was like, a Serbian film. I remember hearing about this. So I watched it, and I was like, disturbed. And then this was the part that I had to stop watching and take a break. I was like, I don't know if I want to finish this. Like,
if I was going to stop, I wasn't going to go back. So
exactly. I went up, and I think I drank a couple beers, and I got a buzz going, and I was like, I should go finish that stupid movie. So I walked back downstairs and finished it.
And
gets worse.
Because understandably walks out of the room enraged that he just had to watch this, and much like all of us, that's how we all were feeling.
He has a normal reaction to it. He's like, this.
Yeah. He walks out, gets in his car, and he starts driving, and then he runs into one of the actresses. I think she's an actress. She's dressed as a nurse, and she gets in his car, and he wakes up in his bed 3 days later, he's beat to shit. He can't find his wife, his kid, and it kind of takes a porno hangover turn here because he starts retracing his steps to find out what happened in the last 3 days. And I mean, it goes from 0 to 100.
Real fast.
He goes back to the house where it was filmed, and his memory starts coming back to him. Basically, he was taken back as he left. He was drugged and taken back to the compound or the mansion, wherever the fuck it was. And he was actually given a drug that was like, it's like super boner. Like, you know, you have this primal sex rage and you cannot stop. So he's not even in his own mind right now. So they're going to continue making this movie. He goes into the first scene that he has to film with this is he goes into the room with the girl that he was instructed to beat up, the mom that's in there. She's tied to a bed, face down. He goes in the back door, and he is just, you know, he's seeing red because he has this drug in his system. He cannot control himself at all. And they're whispering stuff to him the whole time. They're like, you know, she's a child murderer. She's she diddled kids, this and that. And then random, he just pulls up and they give him a machete. And it's one of the most gnarly decapitations that he does on her while he is inside her. Like, it is, oh my God, it is just, I'm just thinking about the places where this movie is about to go. But we got to talk about it because we're here. But yeah,
why are we doing this?
I don't know. But this was another point where I'm like, well, it can't get worse than this. Decapitating a chick while you're inside, and you know that kicks in. Then he comes across and how he's able to recollect all this is he actually finds the camera with a bunch of DV tapes. So he's actually able to see what he did and what happened to him because he is drugged and unconscious, and he is actually SA'd by one of the guards that was filming, that was part of the production. And the guy is sick. He's like looking at the camera like, hey, it's like that meme where the guy is standing by the tombstone and he's like, hey, yeah, it's just like that. Then it gets to probably, and I think a couple other things happen, but I can't really remember, but it gets to, now we're getting to the climax part of it. He is taken into this room.
Well, we should say too, he watches one of the tapes as footage of one of his old co-star who told him about all this.
That's right, yeah. And there's like she's talking to the director and it's just like, no, you know, I'm not doing this. He's not doing this. You know, she could see through it, what's happening.
She's backing out. She's like, this is too much. We're not doing this.
Yeah, it's gotten too far now. She ends up not doing great. I forget exactly what happened. I know she's tied up.
They knock her teeth out.
They
pull her teeth out.
They pull her teeth out. I believe they SA her as well.
Well, that's how she died.
Yeah, she is.
A man with a mask enters the room and kills her by suffocation. Let me just say that.
Yeah, not a great death. It had a lot of Megan is Missing vibes on that particular scene. So he goes through this, and meanwhile he's he's in the woods watching all these tapes because he's trying to find everything. I think he attacks the nurse that was giving him the drug because.
Well, she tries to give him more of the drug, and he actually flips it on her and sticks it in her neck.
Right. Oh, fuck, that's right. God damn it. Forgot about that part. So he's taken into this room.
It's so hard to talk. Like, I didn't know we have this much trouble, but dude, my soul feels so
you made me watch it, so you ain't laughing now, huh? This is the scene that unfortunately sticks out the very most to me. And it's more disturbing. And actually the very last line of this movie is the most disturbing thing I've ever heard in my life. But and there's no even cuss words in it or anything. It's just
No.
but he goes into this room, and obviously by now he has this drug in his system. He can't control himself. There's two people that have masks on them that are, bottoms up.
They're like hidden under a sheet.
Yeah, they're hidden under a sheet. That's right. So he has to go in on one. And at this point, I'm like, please don't say what I think this is. A masked guy comes up next to him and starts doing
the same masked guy that killed
Yes.
the girl earlier.
Yes. He comes up next to him and is, going at it with that person too. And they're kind of like looking at each other like, and there's, it's just, especially when you know who these people are underneath, because this scene goes on a long time. And obviously in my mind, I'm like, I know who's under there. I absolutely know who's under there.
Well, who's under the mask? We should say first.
Yes. So the guy's unmasked, and it is his brother. Which brings me to my question: was he involved in this the entire time?
He is a corrupt cop.
That's what I haven't found the answer, but I think that's kind of where they were leaning, because like he does like smile, like it doesn't seem like he's held against his will here. It seems like
he's a willing participant.
He's finally getting what he wants because the person that is under his sheet is Homeboy's wife. He's finally getting what he wants here, which unfortunately that means that his son is under his sheet. Which once he figures this out, it makes him go in an extremely violent rage. And the nurse comes back in. Sorry, I'm getting away from that. I'm not talking about that part anymore. The nurse comes back in, and does she off herself? Like,
well, she's bleeding from.
Yeah, she's bleeding from inside.
And she's holding a big bloody pipe.
Right, and you're like, oh crap! And then she dies.
She bleeds to death. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the director's in the room. A couple of
Dude,
the
I
guards.
feel.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, I'm like, why am I watching this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so he goes on a revenge rampage. Obviously, now he is kind of
sound mind.
Well, I'm not going to say sound mind because he still has this like rage boner going, but he is going to take out everyone that had something to do with this. He ends up like one guy gets a hole in his eye and he ends up fucking his eye to death.
He rams his priapism into the empty eye socket to kill the man.
Yep. Like this
he
movie
kills the director.
He kills
bashes the director's head into the floor.
And while the director keeps saying, "This is cinema. This is cinema," he's okay dying. He loves what he's seeing, which is fucking sick as absolute fuck.
His wife comes to and kills his brother.
Yep. And punches him because at that point, what else are you going to do? I mean, like, and it's such a weird dichotomy because he was doing this all against his will. Obviously, him being of sound mind would not have done this. They kill all these people.
He gets a gun from the guard.
Yep, gets a gun from the guard.
Shoots everybody to make sure they're dead.
Yep. Then he goes home, and that's when he wakes up, and
because remember he's watching these videos because he's come to in his house, and then he goes back to the warehouse. He's watching them. He kind of comes to and realizes, oh, all that happened, and then I woke up at home.
Yeah. So then he rushes back home, and this poor mom and son, they're terrified of him. They're huddling in the shower.
He locked him in the basement.
Yep. In the basement. And he tries, and I don't know how much time passes here, but they do like
it looks like a day or two, like maybe a couple days.
Like there's no words that are spoken. Like he's contemplating killing himself. Like he's looking at a loaded gun. Like he wants to kill himself. Yeah. And she kind of is just like, no, not yet, not yet. They try to go about their lives. Like they have breakfast. They try, and the poor kid, he just has a stonewall face. Like
it's just.
Mm-hmm. And they, yeah, and
he's kind of tonic, I would say.
Yeah, very. That's a good way to put it. They go and they lay down in the bed, and they basically have this unspoken agreement. They all cuddle together. He takes the gun,
heads together like this.
Heads together. He ends up killing all of them, including himself, in one shot. Which I'm like, that, I mean, unfortunately, if you put yourself in that situation, I mean, where can you go from there?
Yeah, it's over. I wouldn't want
and I thought the movie was over at that point, and I was getting ready to process it. And then they do one last little banger here. And I'll tell you, it's not graphic.
It's not visually.
No. There is a new guy that's there with two of the guards, and they're still making
the next morning.
They have a camera, and it's clear they're still going to make this movie. Why wouldn't they? They're fucked up anyway. And one of the guys starts unzipping his pants, and you're like, oh no, they're going to fuck these dead bodies. And the one guy, the last line of the movie is, start with the little one. And then it cuts. And that just, I literally had a blank stare for a good half hour after that. And I was just like, what the ever loving fuck did I just watch? And that's why, like, Cannibal Holocaust is fucked up in a lot of ways. But
Child's play.
Absolutely. Which I never thought that could be taken over, and not just taken over, but by a wide margin. To put it this way, to calm down from this movie, I probably would have watched Cannibal Holocaust. Like, it is readily available. Do not watch it.
Did you tell Katie at all? Like, I just got done watching this, and she probably doesn't want to hear about that stuff.
I wasn't going to tell her any details. Luckily, we've been watching Shrinking, which is a pretty funny show. And I've actually really gotten into Severance. That one isn't like funny, but it's, it takes your mind off it. And actually a really good cleanse if you guys want it. It's not a horror or anything, but I don't know if you've watched the Ted series on Peacock. Holy fuck. The new season is so goddamn funny. I went through a lot of episodes this week because it helped me take my mind off of this. Because holy shit. Yeah, that one is it sticks with you long after. It is a one watcher if you can even get through it. If you are gonna watch it, don't say we didn't fucking warn you.
I don't know what, like, number one, I don't know how a movie like this gets made, but of course it's not Americans. I don't understand European and West Asia. Like, I don't understand, but I don't know with this one what they're trying to say.
Like, it's loosely saying that, like, it's a protest against their censorship. So I get it. You want the shock value, which they got, but like, someone had come up with these ideas. Never in a million years, even if you go to the more tamer parts of this movie, never would I think in a million years to have a scene where somebody is having sex with somebody and then cutting off their head. Like, I mean, that part alone. And then that was one of the tamer parts. Like I said, watching the first half of this movie, I'm like, this is, maybe I'm just desensitized. I'm like,
it's pretty rough, but it's
uncomfortable, but yeah, it's not anything that I'm going to write home about. And then, God, I wish I hadn't said that. And actually, so guys, if I had a time machine and I could go back to three days in time. Now, one of those days would be, I would go back to the 2012 divisional playoff, Broncos versus Ravens, and I would tell Raheem Moore to play the goddamn ball and knock it down. I would go back and stop Hitler somehow. That would be number 2. And my number 1 day I would go back to not watching this movie.
It is that bad.
That is where I would be on that. I don't even know what more to say. Anywho, that is our most disturbing, most extreme part 2. I don't know if there's going to be a part 3. I
don't know that anything beats these. I think we're done with this segment for.
I think we're done too. But I actually haven't told you. So we're next week. We're flipping the script a little bit on our. Obviously, this Friday we're going to do Ready or Not, Here I Come, which was a new release. And normally we do new theatrical releases, but next Friday, I know my boy Chris is going to get his mind off these movies and look forward to The Mortuary Assistant, which will be, and you guys can actually watch that ahead of time and listen to our review after, because that comes out on March 27th on the Shudder app. So we are kind of flipping an audible there. We're not doing a theatrical release because this was such a limited release. We had it on our schedule to go see, and then it came and went that fast.
It came and went in like 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing that for next Friday. But I thought
I'm extremely excited for that. I'm sorry, I just want to on a tear on that one real quick. I'm extremely excited about that one. The Mortuary Assistant. So it was a game that came out on Steam. It's been years now, but the idea, we'll get more into the premise and stuff when we talk about the movie, of course, because I'll kind of give some background on the game and things like that, similar to I did with Five Nights at Freddy's. But I can genuinely say, like, Ryan, I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer my whole life. I love, all kinds of games. I love horror games in particular. I like that feeling of being scared. The Mortuary Assistant is easily one of the scariest games I've ever played. And it's not scary in like, oh, it's gory and all these things. Like, it's not that at all. It's atmosphere and what's actually happening around you. It is so scary. If you guys want to jump on YouTube and check out some reaction videos, maybe I'll send some to you, Ryan, or maybe I'll make you play it for a day. We'll get some video of you.
I have on my list to research some of those just so I have something to go off of.
So scary. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the film and what they're going to do with it.
Well, and I was thinking for our next Wednesday episode, and I haven't talked to you about this, but it is going to be right around April Fool's Day. So I thought, maybe we do our funniest kills, our top 5 funniest kills in movies.
Done.
I thought
done. Look forward to that, guys.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like when we talk about body horror movies, like you watch those and you're shocked, you're disgusted, but then you're like, oh my god, like that was insane. That was so over the top.
You remember in Body Melt when the tongue? Did you watch Body Melt?
Yeah.
When the girl like dies and her tongue is all swollen and it's like out of her mouth. It's so intense.
So I mean, we could have some fun research on that. But do you have a recommendation? I have a fun one because I wanted to lighten the mood here. But I didn't know if you had a recommendation.
Why don't you start with a fun one?
Okay. So mine is a horror comedy. It is, which also I was thinking could be an April 1st one as we do our top 5 horror comedies, but we can figure it out. But it's from the guys that did Super Troopers, Broken Lizard. It is Club Dread.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It is such a goddamn fun time. My brother and I quote this movie all the time. It is definitely a cleanse from
my asshole.
The fun police, the fun police are there. Penelope, yeah, it's like follow the banana.
Make sure you squeeze your butt, otherwise water will shoot up your asshole.
It is such a funny movie, guys. It does have the horror aspect a little bit. It's mostly comedy, but definitely worth a watch if you have not seen it. One of my favorite horror comedies of all time. Super quotable. But yeah, what do you got?
Love it, man. Well, I rewatched the classic, not this week, but last week because it was leaving Netflix, and it might still be on there, guys, so you can catch it. But I'm going with an old stalwart. We're going with Misery with Kathy Bates and James Caan, based on the Stephen King book, baby. Man, is that movie good? Kathy Bates won an award for that one. I mean, she's so scary and obsessive in that movie. I want to say mid 80s. James Caan plays the writer. If you guys don't know, he's a writer he's traveling through Colorado, actually just north of here because it takes place north of Boulder. Winter storm, drives off the road, and he's not found by medical professionals. He's found by an obsessed fan of his, Annie, who takes him back home.
Which obviously she's there to help.
She's obviously there to help. She takes him back home to nurse him back to health, but she's a little pissed off that he is killing one of the main characters of the novels that made him famous because she is obsessed with these novels. And the fact that he killed the main character, she doesn't like that very much. And she makes a little bargain with him. You need to write this main character, Misery, back into life. And man, is she crazy in this film. The things she does to James Caan. Whoo! If you guys have read the book, thumbs up. It's a great one, great Stephen King one. This is one of the better film adaptations of a book. So we're going with Misery.
And Kathy Bates is just, it is funny.
Cream of the crop.
Because I think of, there's a How I Met Your Mother episode where they're trying to make sure Barney doesn't hang out with him. So he's like, oh, what are we doing tonight? And he's like, oh, we're doing a Kathy Bates movie marathon, but not Misery. So yeah, you got the unsinkable Molly Brown. She's Titanic. The devil.
The devil. Whose balls the devil?
Mr. Bobby Boucher. Yeah, she's
fantastic.
She's a national treasure. I love Kathy Bates. But yeah, guys, definitely check out those.
Because
and
don't check out the movies we talked about.
don't check out the movies we talked about. If you made it through this whole episode with us, shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome. We're gonna need therapy. And I actually was gonna say, because you guys know with John's jingles, I like to give him fucked up movies that he knows nothing about. I, in good conscience, could never tell him to watch any of these.
He'd never watch them if you recommended to him again.
No, the only way I
Maybe
would
that
do it
guy's just
is I would have to send a priest to his house just to, make sure everything was okay. But anyway, guys, we will see you Friday for Ready or Not, Here We Come, and Ready or Not, Here We Come. All right. Take it easy, guys. Take a lot of showers to, cleanse yourself of this shit show of an episode. So
Love you guys.
And we will see you Friday.